We live. Oh, hello, hello, hello. I think we picture. Connect. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How are you all doing? Manuel Ugarte, here we go. Scott McTominay, here we go to Napoli. A lot of Sancho, Raheem Sterling, news. Swap deal on the cards. Juventus still interested in Sancho. We're going to get into all of that. Please smash the like button for me. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Turn on the notifications so you know when we go live. But yeah, it's been a very event-filled day so far. Lots of news, lots of stuff to get into. So I hope everybody's doing well. Axe Lords, good to see you in here, buddy. How you doing? What are you thinking of all the news? Ugarte's in, McTominay is out, and we got a potential swap deal with Sancho and Sterling. I'm gonna give you my 2 cents on Sterling. So let's get straight into that. Obviously, you can see up here next to me, Fabrizio Romano much earlier in the day. It was way too early for me to talk about, but we are here now. Manuel Ugarte's camp has already approved the 5-year contract at Manchester United with an option for further year. PSG will have a sell-on clause included in package worth 50 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons. So we are signing him for a total of 60 million, of course, with the add-ons included. And David Ornstein just coming out, putting out a little tidbit from the club, I guess. Saying that Manchester United believe Manuel Ugarte is one of the best young midfielders in football. Now, he is 23 years old. He's very, very good defensively. Offensively, he does lack a little bit in terms of driving the ball forward, creating plays. He's not horrible, but he's not the best. If you're going to compare him to, I guess, Rodri, and you could say, I guess, the system and other players around him maybe that he plays in, he's not on the level of Rodri in terms of creating output from the defensive end. But defensively, he's very, very, very good. He's very, very close to what the stats Rodri is putting in. So I'm very excited. We needed him in. He should be ready to go for Liverpool. We need him in there because the last match against Brighton, we seen how the midfield died. And we need those legs. We need those legs of his. He's a runner. He's energetic. He gets his foot in on the ball. He makes tons of interceptions. I think he's going to be a very, very valuable add to Manchester United. And this just came from Fabrizio not too long ago, saying that Ugarte has been informed that he can travel to Manchester United tonight. So Ugarte gonna arrive in Manchester probably soon, if he hasn't arrived already. Medical probably will be done tomorrow, most likely. And then announcement, official confirmation and all that stuff will probably follow suit. If not tomorrow, the day after. It usually take about a day or so to do so. But what are you guys thinking about Manuel Ugarte? He's ours. He's a Manchester United player. Axe Lord saying he's in a bad mood. He's sleepy, but he's gonna try and stay focused and optimistic. Yeah, we've all been there. It's hard. You get some of those days. You know what I mean. Lyle's in here. Lyle, good to see you. Axe Lord saying, I am glad that they've managed to transfer a player compatible with the team's playing style. Yes, and that's a good point, Axe. It's a good point. He also he fits into what we need. And he's gonna add some value in there, especially because I seen some arguments, United fans talking about we never really replaced Fred. I think he adds a little bit of that energy that Fred used to bring. I think he's a little bit more technically better than Fred. He's certainly younger. And also, we had Amrabat on loan last season. We have not signed Amrabat. Amrabat has gone back. I don't think Amrabat's coming. Although I would say that I would argue that I would probably want another midfielder to come in. We're not going to get it. Doesn't seem like it. I would even go as much for a loan. I think we need it. I think the team needs it. I'm worried about the depth a little bit still because McTominay is out. We have Bruno Mount, but they're more like cams. Then in the two pivots or the box to box and the holding midfield, you got Cass, you got Mano, you got Ugarte, and you have Christian Eriksen wherever he fits in. But Christian Eriksen, I just don't think he's on that level. Um, I think Christian Eriksen should go, and we should have somebody else there. Now maybe a Collier steps up and comes into the squad. Maybe that's a possibility. We could do something like that. But yeah, I'm just looking at that depth in terms of players like a Casemiro and an Ugarte and even a Mano, because Mano gives you both sides of the game. Um, if we lose one to injury, or something like that, it's looking real. It's looking real scarce. It's looking real skimpy, and it does worry me a little bit because Casemiro is of old age. And then you're gonna have to have a guard they carrying the whole time with as well. Menu, I think that for rotation purposes, rest purposes, I think we need a little bit more. So, Lyle's thinking the announcement most likely tomorrow night. Most likely, yeah, I would assume that the medical would be done early hours, tomorrow. If they don't complete it tonight, they might just push them through to complete it tonight. Sometimes they do that. Ugarte is going to give Manos so much freedom and time on the ball, saving Manos' energy levels. Yeah. But how much energy levels is it gonna save him if Manu is playing every match for 90 minutes? Um, how much relief can Manu how much relief can like a Christian Eriksen or something provide for Mano? And then the quality, the drop off. For me, Christian Eriksen is done at this club. I don't think he provides much in terms of what we really need in terms of quality. But it looks like he's going to be staying, and it doesn't look like we're going to be getting in any other midfielder. We might be getting Raheem Sterling, and apparently, which I am totally against, and we'll get into that as well. And other big news. Scott McTominay, here we go to Napoli. This helped the Ugarte deal pretty much get over the line because they were announced basically simultaneously, one right after the other. Fabrizio Romano, Scott McTominay to Napoli. Here we go. Deal in place for 30 million package plus sell-on clause. Again, we see the sell-on clauses initiated by INEOS. Manchester United have authorized Scott to travel for medical tests and contract signing. And then there's that bit about Lukaku. So Scott McTominay's out the door. I'm happy with it. I wanted the deal to happen. I think Scott needed to be moved on. That was always my opinion. I know there's a couple people in here that they liked Scott. They wanted Scott to stay. Not that I hated Scott, but he's a fairly limited player. And as Axe mentioned before, we signed a compatible player with the team's playing style. And I just really feel like Scott didn't fit the playing style that we're trying to implement and improve and grow on. So, I said if there was a deal to be done for Scott McTominay, business wise, you absolutely do it. But I wish Scott all the best. He loved this club. He came through as a boy. His whole life was Manchester United. When he put on the shirt, for the most part, he would always give everything. And he loved the club. So I wish him all the best at Napoli. I think it's a good move for him. It's a good move for us. And yeah, I think Italy will be a good fit for him. I think he's going to be good at Napoli, and I think he can enjoy the rest of his career. And once a Red, always a Red, and hopefully we see him back somewhere with Manchester United later on, maybe after he retires or something. Pops up to a couple games, for sure. So, Axe is saying Axe is saying Ugarte definitely better than Casemiro at this point. Defensively is what we need. Also freeing Mano, so hopefully Ugarte will cover this space and allow Manu to be more creative and offensive. Tom Wright, good to see you, buddy. How you doing? I hope everything's well. Tom Wright saying I want Sterling. He's an upgrade on Rashford. That's a big claim. In my opinion, he's probably not. I really don't like Sterling. Not a fan of Sterling. I've been talking a lot of crap about Sterling over the past couple years with him at Chelsea, even towards the end of City, and that's when he performed the best. So we'll get into that. But thank you for your opinion, Tom. And we'll get back to that. We'll have a nice discussion about it. Axe saying 2 ball playing defenders in Ugarte should stop some goals and offer control in the 0 to 50 meters. Also saying attacking wise, Ugarte is most probably inferior to Casemiro. I don't know what we need exactly in terms of attacking at this point. Yeah, I think if Ugarte is that good defensively, the attacking wise probably won't hurt that much in terms of if Mano gets freed up more. We will be able to create more per se, and we should we should have less chances. And that center is going to be really important. That spine right there in the middle, because I'm expecting De Ligt to come in soon for Maguire. So De Ligt, Martinez, and Ugarte, that trio, that little triangle right there, that thing has to become like a Bermuda Triangle. When the ball enters into that space with the opponent, they need to get lost. That ball needs to be lost. We need to just get that ball, and the opponent needs to be lost in that area. That little trio right there, I think, is going to be very important. How long it's going to take for that to kind of click, I don't know. Obviously, De Ligt and Martinez have played together before, so I don't think that partnership really has much time until it is pretty solid and good looking and performing well. Ugarte might take some time to adjust. He might struggle a little bit as well. I mean, listen, players that come out from different leagues, you never know. Some adjust immediately, some don't adjust right away, some never adjust at all. I think Anthony is a good example. Anthony, I don't think he's not too compatible with the Premier League. And I don't think Anthony's adjusted very well at all, unfortunately. And then you have somebody like a Bruno Fernandes who came in immediately, was ready to go. There was like no adjustment period, and he has just been Bruno since the day he stepped onto the pitch for Manchester United. So it is a little bit of wait and see. I hope that he is ready to go and adjust quickly, because again, I think he is very, very important to the squad and how we're going to play. And I think he's going to make an impact if he finds his feet very quickly. I think definitely it's going to be very, very important in how quickly he can adjust. Maybe, he doesn't even start right away. Maybe Ten Hag, which I will assume Ten Hag is going to continue to play both Casemiro and Mano. I don't expect Ugarte to come in and dislodge Casemiro immediately. I don't see it. Ten Hag is like that. He's pretty stubborn. He also, to a point, I guess that stubbornness, you could pair it in with his loyalty, because he shows a lot of loyalty to his players, sometimes maybe to a fault, people might argue. But yeah, I think I think we're looking good so far. I would love if INEOS come with 1 or 2 more signings, maybe 2 loans. The left back position still concerns me. I would take a loan at left back, because I don't know what the plans are for the left back position in terms of Harry Amos. I don't know if they are going to include him going forward, or he's not ready yet. If he's ready, then we don't really need the lone left back. If he's not ready and they don't really plan to include him too much into the squad, then that left back, I think we need a lone left back. And also, I'm sure we can't make another midfield signing, but again, I'm gonna stress this because I think for me it's worrying me. It worries me. I would try and get somebody else in, whether that's Amrabat on loan again or somebody else. I would definitely be looking for that. I have this strange feeling that INEOS might get a deal or two on the transfer deadline day, considering that we have basically most of our positions. We won't be in a desperate position. There might be a couple clubs out there that are desperate to get a deal done before the window closes, which might play into our hand. So there's always that to look out for. We've never experienced a transfer deadline day under INEOS yet, so we don't know what is really going to come for it, but there's some interesting things that lie ahead. So we will keep an eye out on that. And anything can happen. Anything can happen. Lyle saying Scotty is going to do well at Napoli, Serie A, gonna suit his game. That's what I think, Lyle. Same exact thing. I think it'll suit him perfectly. And, definitely that's why I say I think it's a good move for him. It's a good move for us. Yeah, it's tough to leave a place that has basically been your whole life since you were a child. But sometimes you just got to do it. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. So I think that's just the best thing possible for everybody. And I'm happy because honestly, um, I was getting a little annoyed, and it's not Scott's fault per se. It was just like Scott comes on as a substitute, and I already know what it is because again he is very limited. And I was just when he came on against Brighton, I was just like I was getting frustrated by the substitution because I was like this isn't what we really need for this match, but he was one of the only options that we had. So now that's all in the past, and we're gonna move forward, and he's gonna move forward, and it'll be good. This is what we needed from Ineos. This is what Manchester United needed. We are building. We are moving forward. Um, I think this so far this transfer window has been very good. If you compare it to other transfer windows in the past, I think the profile of player we got in. I think the fees that we've paid. The deals will be done even on the outgoings. We've done a lot of outgoings, some of them much smaller. But the fees have added up, and we have a lot of sell-on clauses. I think Ineos coming in, I would give them at least a 7 or an 8 right now for their first transfer market. I mean, we have to take into account it is their first ever transfer window. So when you take that into account, plus all the mess that they inherited from the Glazers and everybody that they had employed before they came in, I think fairly you give them a good 7 or 8. I think that's a fair rating for them. Um, and it could be subject to change, could go up a little bit more. Um, if we sneak in a couple deals before the deal and before the deadline day. And some one of those might be Raheem Sterling, which I am totally against, by the way, but we will get onto that very soon. Axe saying all my respect for McTominay. He had the attitude of a Wayne Rooney, 100% United attitude. Thanks a lot for everything, Scott. I will never forget Ramontada, the McTominay, and the goal against City. Yeah, he scored a lot of good, important goals for us too. So, he's definitely part of the history of Manchester United. And again, I don't think he ever, I think he knew what it meant to play for the shirt. And he would never disrespect the club in any manner in that way. He loved the club. So, yeah, as much as he annoyed me sometimes as a player with his limited ability, as a person, um, for the club, he's well respected in that regard. So, Lyle asking all the people to drop a like. Yes, please smash the like button for me if you can. It really helps us out, and I greatly appreciate it if you could do that. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe if you're enjoying the show and turn on notifications. Axe Lord saying, yeah, Ugarte doesn't deserve a spot on the 11 against Liverpool. We have to sacrifice that match as well. Well, it's not. Yeah, because that's just how Ten Hag is, right? Like Ugarte's new, he's gonna come in. Casemiro's seasoned. He knows the system already. He's more suited to it, I guess. So, and you see how Ten Hag operates when you have a preseason and stuff like that, and you're available and you're performing. decently well, at least minimum. You usually start the season, and he keeps you on there, and he gives you your chances. So I don't see how, I don't see how Ugarte just gets signed and Casemiro gets dropped to the bench. Obviously there's lots of us out there that would maybe be that ruthless, if you want to use that word. But I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Do expect to see him though on the pitch. I do expect him to get some minutes in. Definitely, definitely. If you're not gonna, start him, he's got to get some minutes in. But really, what I want to see and what I'm looking for against Liverpool is I want to see De Ligt starting next to Martinez. I think it's time. I think it's a decision that has to be made. Yes, Maguire was playing good last season. He kind of carried it in over in the first game. The second game, he was at fault for that goal. He had two opportunities. I think, if we had another center back in there, whether Martinez would be in that position or De Ligt be in that position, I don't think that goal gets scored because I think they get their foot to the ball. And listen, this is the future. This is what we're building for. Maguire is not the future. Maguire is almost at the end of his career. He's almost done. The future going forward is Lisandro Martinez and Matheus de Ligt center back partnership. So let's start it. Let's get going because it's going to be third match into the Premier League season. We're playing Liverpool. We're home. It's a huge match. And we need to get the 3 points. We need to get the 3 points. It would be a huge bounce back from last week, from the last match, and it's a very important match. And I think your best center back partnership needs to be played, and we need to start moving forward with that. So that's the number one thing that I'm going to be looking for and hoping for the match against Liverpool. Axe Lord saying, big question: would you take Rabiot now? Considering Ugarte as signed, would you give 180k a week for Rabiot? It's a good question. It's a good question. See, I think Rabiot, 180k a week isn't even that. It's not that bad considering he's a free. So I don't think that's horrible. My problem with Rabiot is the extra baggage that comes with him. I don't know him. I don't know what he's like technically. Obviously, there's stories out there of his aging mother and even himself causing some trouble. And that's what I don't like too much about Rabiot is because I don't want that stuff coming into the club, disrupting the atmosphere. Everybody knows Manchester United is under 700 microscopes at all times. One small step out of line from Rabiot is something. Papers are blowing up, headlines are blowing up, and it just adds another microscope to Manchester United that we don't really need. At the same time, like I already said, I still do believe that we need another midfielder. So I'm kind of leaning towards I would take him if it's the only deal that we can do. It's not the worst deal. I worry about the baggage. But at this time, I guess it would have to be a risk you got to take. I would if I'm thinking about it, I would risk the baggage in so that we would have more value at depth in the center midfield position because I really do think we need another person in there. I do. I think if we go in like we go now, we are taking a more severe risk of being shorthanded because we don't know what's going to happen with the injuries. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of performances. What happens if Casemiro gets injured and he's out for 2 months? Ugarte struggling to, get accustomed to the Premier League and United and the team and his teammates. Mainu's been playing 90 minutes every single match. He's getting burnt out. We definitely need somebody else in there. So I would definitely go for Rabiot probably at this point. 180k. You give him the wage. There's no transfer fee involved, and hopefully, him and his mother behaves himself, doesn't cause any problems. But I think the risk of not getting a midfielder is bigger than potentially the baggage that surrounds him. So 100%. Lyle is not having the Sterling transfer. Sending out red cards. And I'm there with you. Bruno Hamza He's saying let's get Raheem. He is far better than Rashi. You are the second person to say that. Um, and I disagree with that sentiment as well. And we're gonna get into that soon. Axe saying if you set a hierarchy and a system to regulate such hierarchy, you have to stick to it. Otherwise, don't be surprised when they throw you under the bus. Uh, and then depends on many factors, Hamza. But at times, yeah. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an argument for that, but there's also an argument against it 100%. And I'm gonna talk about that soon. Uh, Technically is one of the best attacking CDMs. Or would you put money on Gore? I mean, we could bring through some of these youth players. The problem is I don't know if they're actually ready. Um, you know, and that's another gamble. But I'm not against that either. If they're ready, they're ready. I mean, look at Manu, and he came in and he was kind of ready, and you could kind of tell when he came in and played. I haven't made a judgment on Gore yet. I'm not 100% settled on if he's ready or he needs some more time. So I'm a little iffy on Gore, and I would probably rather bring in somebody like a Rabiot that's more experienced that can just add value immediately. Um, while Gore continues to develop a little bit more because I think I just think it's the better option for sure. So where are we? So in other news as well, because now we're gonna move on to what everybody is basically talking about. So Jadon Sancho, and a Raheem Sterling swap deal is on the cards. Sancho is definitely looking to get out of Manchester United before the transfer deadline window comes around and closes. So, and I think that absolutely Jadon Sancho has to leave this club. I think it's done. There was that moment where, you know, it looked like they made up. It looked like he might be able to get his way back into the team. We were going to give him the benefit of the doubt and see where this goes. Wasn't involved in the first match day squad at all. Um, and then the reports came out saying that he has made his final decision that he actually does really want to leave the club. Wasn't in the second match day squad at all. So I think the nail in the coffin is here for Sancho. His career at United is 100% officially over, in my opinion. And he has to go. He has to go. Just like how I said Scott McTominay's got to go. For footballing reasons. I think Sancho as well for a couple reasons. He's got to go. He's got to go. You know. So Ben Jacobs earlier in the day, about 4 hours ago or so, said that he's open to joining Chelsea and Raheem Sterling is open to joining Manchester United. So this has led to a fury of swap deal reports. I do not want Raheem Sterling. I don't think Raheem Sterling fits the I don't think Raheem Sterling fits the direction we're going in. Number one, he's a little bit on the older side, which is nothing wrong with that, but we've been buying pretty young. Everybody we bought, Delit is 24, 25. He just had his birthday. Ugarte is 23. Euro is 18. Mazawari is like 25 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So everybody is around in their mid-20s. Sterling is a little bit older. I personally think Sterling is already past his prime as well. I think he's past his best. I don't think he's going to be any better. Sterling's 29 years old, about to be 30, depending on what day his birthday is. And, at Manchester City, he did pretty well for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 He had, double figure goals. He does not, as far as I know, assist wise, I can't see the assists, which is annoying. They give me everything. But from what I've seen from him, and then Chelsea the last 2 seasons hasn't looked good, hasn't looked great. He's had 28 appearances, 5 of them substitutes, and he had 6 goals in his first season at Chelsea. And then the second season at Chelsea, 31 appearances, 9 substitutions, and he had 8 goals. So he's not even hitting double figures in that statistic anymore. But the reason why I don't really want Sterling is because I just think Sterling is a type of player that now see a lot of people are saying that he's better than Rashford. And I first of all I disagree on that. Maybe at moments. Maybe at moments in and out. But I think he's very similar to Rashford. And I don't think it's something that we need. Raheem Sterling plays very very similar to Rashford. They get the ball, they put their head down, they run, and they don't look for the pass. They don't look for their teammates. Raheem Sterling very selfish at times. And he's not that creative. From what I've seen in the last 2 seasons at Chelsea, not very creative. I mean, I've watched a numerous amount of games that he's played in, and I just remember over and over again saying how crap he was. Um, so I don't want him. It's my opinion of him is not about to change just because he might potentially or he might about to be coming to Manchester United. I don't want him. I don't think it's a good deal. There's probably about another 20 wingers out there that I would take before Raheem Sterling. Um, and if they do it, they do it, and we have to live with it. Sometimes, things happen, and you got to live with it. But I don't think it would be that good of a deal. I honestly think, as much as I want Jadon Sancho to go, and as much as I think Jadon Sancho's been very underwhelming in terms of performances and what he's done at Manchester United, I think Jadon Sancho is actually probably is better than Sterling. If you could get Sancho to play well, which he might do so, at Chelsea. It's at London. He'll have a point to prove again. And when people have a point to prove, they get hungry and they seem to step up a level, which he might do so there. So I think for United, I think it's actually a bad deal. I'm hoping Juventus really step it up and come in and get this. In terms of the transfer, it's not a bad position because now we have Chelsea fighting for him and we have Juventus. So in terms of getting a deal done, we are in a good spot right now. But my preference would be to just sell him to Juventus, let Chelsea keep Sterling or do whatever the hell they're gonna do with him. And maybe, if Juventus get a little bit desperate, maybe they give us money for a deal. Maybe there's a winger that we can sign out there with the money that we get for Sancho. That's what I would definitely do. Now, just to follow up on these things, Sky Sports saying Chelsea and Manchester United are in talks over 2 separate deals for Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling. The possibility of Sancho signing for Chelsea and Sterling joining United is now being seriously considered. Considered. Then Simon Stone came with an update saying Juventus are resisting Manchester United's desire to include an obligation to buy in any loan deal for Jadon Sancho, and also do not want to pay all the players' wages. So there's a problem with the Juventus side of this. They might pull out. They might not offer what Manchester United are looking for. Chelsea might be the better deal. If Chelsea offer money, if Chelsea are going to cover Sancho's wages or more of Sancho's wages, then Manchester United might do this deal. As much as we might not like it, it might be the better deal. In certain aspects, in terms of financials, I guess you would say. So yeah, there's that. Manchester United have held exploratory talks over a deal to sign Raheem Sterling from Chelsea. United sources stress any deal will be on their terms. So we are looking into it. There are interests on both sides of this. Talks are being held all over the place. Mike McGrath also coming out. So all of these guys are very credible. So this story definitely has legs. This story is definitely pretty much on fire right now. And Manchester United have open talks over a deal for Raheem Sterling, but will only progress in a swap for Jadon Sancho on their own terms. So reiterating again, similar things. Dan Ashworth was in dialogue with Chelsea earlier today over a Sterling and Sancho swap. So Dan Ashworth is on top of this. He is leading this. which is there's an update to follow that as well. Um, then Ben Jacobs again. This was more recent. Talks over Raheem Sterling and Jadon Sancho centered on all options, including a loan. Players open to the move, but only club-to-club talks for now. Sterling yet to speak to any club directly. Sancho is also considering Juventus. Ben Chilwell not part of any swap plan, so Ben Chilwell will not be included in any of this. Um, I'm not too familiar with the situation going on with Ben Chilwell. I assume that Chelsea are trying to move him on. We still need a left back, but United have already said that it does not look like we are going to get any left back. I still disagree with that. I think we should be getting a left back on loan. If anything, but yeah. And then Sancho, Fabrizio Romano also just provided an update right before we started this, saying that negotiations over Jadon Sancho's future continue. Juventus in talks over a loan deal with a buy clause. United wants specific conditions to be met, including salary coverage. Chelsea consider Sancho an opportunity for a swap deal. Chelsea want to include Sterling, and it's up to Manchester United. So Manchester United, the ball is in our courts. We hold all the cards right now. Pretty much depends what Juventus are going to offer us. I guess we're waiting for that, and we're going to weigh up the options. And again, my preference would be to send Sancho to Juventus so he doesn't have to play against us. He won't be in the Premier League, and we don't get Sterling because I don't want Sterling. I don't want Sterling. And this came right before we went live, so from the Times Sport, again, all very credible, all top tier outlets and journalists. And Dan Ashworth is particularly enthusiastic about the potential Raheem Sterling to Manchester United deal. So Dan Ashworth is actually the one that's really pushing for Raheem Sterling. He wants Raheem Sterling. Dan Ashworth is he likes Raheem Sterling a lot, and I think he believes it'll be a good addition to the club. And he rates him as a player. So Dan Ashworth is actually the one that's really pushing for this Sterling swap here. He thinks it's a good idea. He thinks it's a good move. I guess, he is supposed to be our expert. We might just have to trust him on this one. Especially if the financials are way better with this Chelsea deal than with the Juventus deal. What do you guys think about Sterling? Let's throw up a poll. Start a poll. Do you want Sterling? Question marks. Start a poll. Get in the vote. Vote on the poll. Yeah. So for me, Sterling, don't like him. I don't want him. I'm in the no category. You guys get involved. Get in the voting. And also drop down some thoughts in the chat. I'm gonna read them out. Ray's in here. Ray, good to see you. How you doing? Hope everything is well. Lyle saying Sterling is not the profile we have been going for this window. It would be super odd for us to sign him, and that's something that I touched on, and I completely agree with you, Lyle. He is not the profile that we've been going for this window. It's kind of an outside buy. It's kind of a little strange. And I just don't like him as a player anyway. I don't like him. I think I personally think he's finished. I think Raheem Sterling should go to like Saudi Arabia or something. I just don't rate him. I don't rate him anymore. I think those years in City he was playing very well. The past 2 years at Chelsea hasn't looked very good, and yeah, I'm just not a fan of him. And just for the fact that he did play for Liverpool and he did play for City, so I really don't want him in a United shirt at all. Elias saying last dribble is always on the last defender, then ball loss. Sterling is no upgrade. Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like his end product, very very is lacking, very much so, and especially in the creativity department. In the creativity department, he is very, very similar to Rashford, and I actually don't think he's better than Rashford. I think Rashford's better than Sterling. Um, although Rashford is playing pretty poor right now over the past season and a half, I think they're almost just as bad as each other, to be honest. If you take into account how Rashford started right now and Rashford's last season, to Raheem Sterling's 2 seasons at Chelsea, I think they're pretty much on par. They're both just as bad. They're both just as bad. But I'd rather see if Marcus Rashford could come good because I think Sterling I think is just I just don't think there's anything in Sterling. I think there's something in Rashford you could pull out from there because you seen 2 seasons ago the season that Rashford had. Um, so I think there's something to work with Rashford there. Raheem Sterling, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Um, Axe is saying my last stream transfer of the season. Palmer, give them 100 mil. I know they want it. Keep dreaming, because we don't have 100 mil. We don't have 100 mil, and I don't think Chelsea would. I don't think Chelsea would sell him anyway. I don't even think Chelsea would sell him, even if he tried to force his way out. I don't rule it out maybe happening sometime in the near future, but this season, this window, definitely not happening. Um, at January definitely won't happen. Maybe next window. Because he is. I know he is a fan of United. So maybe one day, but not yet. But not definitely not yet. Ray saying no. We bought new players. Let's see how long it's gonna take for the 5 of them to play in the first team together. Well, depends on them as well. Euro, of course, is injured. And there's only so many spots, so I expect him to come in at some point. Ugarte, I think, is going to take a little bit. Again, like I said, his Ten Hag he's too loyal to a point. I guess at some points he's stubborn, but I just don't see him dropping Casemiro for Ugarte immediately. I think it would cause problems as well. I think Casemiro would be very, very pissed. It would probably cause some problems in the dressing room that we don't need. I think the best way is to ease him in, But the point is of having Ugarte is it's not even really if he starts or he doesn't start as of right now. The point is that when we play against Liverpool and we press, like if we do press, right? If we did the pressing like we did against Brighton, and then around 60 minutes, Casemiro starts getting gassed, boom, you slap Ugarte in, 23, young, fresh, defensive genius, and it just makes us that much better. It makes us that much better. That's why that signing is important. Yes, everybody's gonna want to see him start. Everybody wants him to start over Casemiro, but it's just not realistic in terms of if you know our manager, if you know the way he operates, if you know the way he thinks, which you should do by now because this is his 3rd season, so you should know what to expect from our manager by now if you're paying attention. He is not just going to drop Casemiro. Now, maybe eventually, a little bit later down the line, if Ugarte is coming in substitutions and he's making huge impacts, and Casemiro's kind of lacking and he's not playing well, then I do expect Ugarte to steal his spot and start. But that's just the normal way of how things work. I actually think it's the best way. Sometimes it's very frustrating because it seems like it takes a very long time. Maybe he doesn't do it quick enough in terms of changing personnel, in terms of having certain players start over other players or dropping players out of the squad. But at the same time, I think that I can see the approach. I see the why he does it the way he does it, because when you give these players opportunities, for example, Marcus Rashford, I think nobody can argue that Erik Ten Hag has not given Marcus Rashford more than enough opportunities to turn his form around. He showed him loyalty. He's backing Rashford. I don't think there's nobody that can argue that Ten Hag, in fact, they would probably argue the opposite and say that he's probably given him too many opportunities and that he should change him now. Now the thing is, when you do it in that way, though, right? I mean, when the time comes and Rashford is dropped out of the squad, obviously Rashford's going to be upset, but he can't really argue that he wasn't given enough opportunities and this and that. Nobody in the dressing room can really argue and be like, well, oh, look what the manager did. That's kind of fucked up. Like, he didn't really give you a chance. You have the ability. You just needed some more time. Nobody can say that because he's had more than enough chances. So when he gets dropped out of the squad, you know, maybe to Rashford, they might be like, hey, it's all right, or whatever. But really, if they look at it common sense wise, everybody's gonna be like, listen, he's had plenty of chances. He hasn't been performing. He's really been struggling, and the kid Garnacho has been performing every time he comes in. And he kind of does deserve that spot over him. So I think he's gonna do the same thing similar to Casemiro. I think he's doing the same thing to Maguire right now. Especially because De Ligt didn't have the fitness, but I expect Maguire to be dropped out, and I expect De Ligt to come in, and I expect Ugarte at some point to take Casemiro's spot. Is it going to happen in the first couple weeks? I don't think so. But later on in the season, 100%. Almas is left back. Can we make that girl come back to Rashford? I don't know, man. I don't know. That's on him. That's on him. But that can't be everything. That can't be everything. Listen, you're a professional footballer. Your career is on the line. You need to get your head straight. If those distractions off the field are impacting you that much, that's a bigger issue. I know we're all human, and things do happen. And it's not always highs, but at this point, he's hitting the point where he's got to get his shit together. Because he really is going to lose his place. And I expect that to happen. And I think people are going to get a little bit more frustrated with Ten Hag because I think Rashford's still going to start the next few matches. But if he doesn't do something in the next, I would say 3 or 4 matches, I think you're going to see Garnacho coming in and Rashford going to the bench. 100%. And Ray said, we are not a team to collect rejects. Well, that's another thing. He is sort of a reject. Um, his peak was at City. City typically you see it. They have their players. Their peaks are pretty much at City. And they do very well in terms of when they get rid of a player, they don't look how they looked at Manchester City. I mean, Gabriel Jesus is a prime example of that. I think Zinchenko is even a prime example of that. Sterling is a perfect example of that. They seem to know pretty well that they have their player when is the best time to get rid of them, that they've used their best, and they're probably going to be more on a decline than hitting the same levels that they were hitting there. So I don't want Sterling there. Again, I will say there's about 20 different wingers I would take over Raheem Sterling. All different types of ages. I would take I think Chiesa, and he's going to Liverpool, I think is miles above Raheem Sterling. Chiesa has a little bit of an injury prone issue. But yeah, I think Chiesa, somebody in his play style, play type, fits Manchester United miles more than Raheem Sterling. So I don't want Sterling. Don't want it at all. I can already see it now. If Sterling comes, plays a couple matches, plays like shit, it's gonna be Banter City all over the place. And I'm not gonna want to deal with it. And I kind of feel bad for Sterling as well because he's not the popular pick. I think most Manchester United fans don't want Raheem Sterling. And if he comes in and he doesn't perform, the fans will not be backing him. The fans are going to get on his back, and he's going to probably have a very horrid and shit time in Manchester United. And that's something that we don't actually need in the squad either. So, you know, um, Axe Lord accidentally reporting our own viewers in the chat. Somebody Somebody give Axe a red card for that. It was an accident, but red card. Listen, sometimes you get red cards for accidents too. Sometimes you make a tackle by accident. You mean to do it. You didn't mean to take him out. But it's still a red card. Red card. Axe. Axe is getting a red card for that. And Ike Brown does not want Sterling. The poll is ongoing. I don't know how many. Why can't I see? So we have 12 votes. 67% saying no. I'm part of that. I'm voting as well. I voted no as well. See, we updated it. It's 69%. Anybody that's voting yes for Sterling, if you want to get involved and tell me why, you think Sterling is a good signing or you want him at Manchester United, I would be more than happy to talk to you, have a discussion about it, and read out whatever you say. Or if you're with me and you don't want Sterling and you want to put in a little bit more beef into why you don't want him, you can throw it up in the chat. To everybody that's here, thank you for watching. Please smash the like button for me if you can. We need those numbers to go up. We have a decent amount so far, but we could do better, and it greatly helps us out, so I would greatly appreciate it. The channel would greatly appreciate it. The community would appreciate it. And subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and turn on notifications if you don't have it, so you know when we go live. We do match reactions, watch-alongs. We're going to get a call-in show going, so if those things interest you and you're enjoying the content, we're happy to have you as part of this community. I'm going to check to see if any updates have come out since we were live, because sometimes, most likely, usually, that happens. I don't think. So Graham Bailey, another credible person, has just stated about 10 minutes ago that Manchester United have held talks with Raheem Sterling's entourage. So we're going to see what's going to come out of that. So direct talks with Sterling's people from Manchester United. So that is a new update because, as we were aware, Sterling had not spoken to any clubs directly prior to this piece of information coming out. So Manchester United have talked to Sterling's people, and there will be more to follow. Ugarte his flight seems set to land very, very soon. If it hasn't just landed, so we have people tracking that. So, here's somebody putting up stats with eyes. I want to read it because the person is very credible. So I want to see what they're talking about here. So they have statistic. Actually, you want me to just bring it up for you? I'll bring it up for you so we could talk about it ourselves. Stats Sterling. We could just throw it in here for you. I'll throw it in here. Screenshots. Download. This opens good. Don't know. Alright, so here it's a little bit smaller. So they compared, make it even smaller. So they compared Palmer, Sterling, Lamine Yamal, and Nico Williams. Progressive carries, which we know Sterling's good at that because he can dribble. He's in second behind Nico Williams. So if you rate Nico Williams in terms of carrying the ball, apparently Sterling is just a little bit under him. Sterling is better than Yamal, and he's way above Cole Palmer. So if you love Cole Palmer, there's that. Dribbles, he's third best in dribbling, right behind Lamine Yamal, and Nico Williams, way above Palmer. Non-penalty goals, he's second behind Palmer. XG and plus XA, he's second best behind Palmer. Assists, he's third best behind Nico Williams and Palmer. Key passes, he's got an 88.9, which actually makes him the best, which is kind of crazy to me because when I see him, I don't I don't see it, but maybe the eye test is failing me, or maybe the statistics are a little flawed. Attacking actions, he's third. And he's played less minutes than all three of them, which is actually very interesting considering that he's leading in some of these categories and he's played less. And he's not too far in some other categories and he's played less minutes. He's very, very similar to all three of these players. I don't know. I guess that's total career wise and all matches played or whatever. So, yeah, that's great. I don't know. What do you guys make of that? Anything you make out of these statistics? Do you guys look at statistics more than the eye test? Do you do a little bit of both? Because I know there's some people that are very orientated. There's some people that don't give a shit about statistics and they just go off of what they see with their eyes. I try to do a little bit of both. I'm more of an eye test person though. I do like the eye test. So um big up everyone. Stephanie's in her, our beautiful moderator. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Big up everybody. Early likes. Yes, the like button is being smashed. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. I greatly appreciate it. William, Lemmy, your message got retracted. I don't know what happened. Axel is saying what he is at least 7 years older than the oldest and has played less. Apparently so. Apparently so. That's what I'm trying to. I mean, the person that put this up is most of you probably know him. It's Terry Flewers from the Football Terrace. So I mean, Terry is not a he's not a stupid person. He knows his football. He just put this up. I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to share it with the chat. But yeah, that's. I don't understand how. I mean, I don't know where he got all these statistics. I'm sure he's using something like a Y Scout or something like that. Um, I just don't know. The minutes played confuses me because Lamine Yamal is literally 16. So like, is that minutes played from like his whole career, like in the youth team and all that? Um, and how Sterling has managed to play less minutes than all of them. Meanwhile, he's literally like anywhere from 13 years older to about 6 to 7 years older. Oh, is that just from last season? It's the 20. Oh, okay, okay, that makes more sense. It's just last season. All right, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. I was gonna say, but I was thinking, I'm like minutes played, like that's a lot of minutes. Yeah, when you think about it, full season, a whole season, you play at least like 2,000 something minutes. Um, and he did have a little bit of a hard time. Don't pay attention to stats, Erik. Steph's not about the statistics. Yeah, I don't pay too much attention to statistics. I mean, it's good to get an indication of what the player can offer, or their style of play in that terms. But for me, it's never the be all and end all. So, you know, um, and Steph saying Sterling won't be an RVP type signing, not a prolific goal scorer, and won't win us the Premier League. Leave well alone. Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying, Steph. I don't think he has much to offer. Um, he does not have much to offer. Oh, by the way, I need somebody. If anybody's in contact with Richard, um, because last show, I don't know exactly what happened, but he got pretty upset and he left the show. And he's not here today. I see. I tried to reach out to him. I sent him a message. I don't know if he's seen it or not, but if somebody can get in contact with Richard, that'd be great and see if he's all right. Because we want him back here, and I still don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't aware. So if somebody can get in contact with Richard, that would be great. Um, Daniel, what's up, Daniel? That's my buddy Daniel. Everybody, shout out Daniel. Dan, I hope you're doing good, buddy. I hope everything's well. How you doing over there? I know it's late over there. It's like 11, right? You should be in bed right now, Daniel. I don't know what you're doing up watching me. Daniel is a Juventus fan, everybody, just so you know. But that's he's a good friend of mine. He's just popping in, giving us some views, giving us a like. So, um, give him a shout out. Um, Axel is saying, "Why have I told anything bad to Richard?" No, it was something with Grace and Richard, but I wasn't too sure of what happened, and you know, he's just not here today, and he's usually always here. So I just hope that he's all right. You know, so somebody can check on him. Um, I hope he's all right. But saw you live, so I came on for a bit. Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. How's everything? How's the Malta weather? Is it good over there? Uh, this is better than here. Since I came back, I haven't been outside yet. Uh, I've been inside. I've been inside for almost a week now. So, except for work, obviously. So, Elias saying blame Grace. We don't blame nobody. All right, it was for me. It was a misunderstanding of what happened, and I understood Grace. I get Grace. Grace has her ways of bantering. Richard took it a little, took it one way. Miscommunication. So it's very hot there and dull. Yeah, I see Richard on other channels. I will ask him about him for you, Eric. Okay, yeah, thank you. Tell him, tell him I don't know what happened, but if he wants, he can just message me on Twitter. I sent him a message. Uh, yeah, the community is great. We're gonna get bigger. We're gonna get better. So now that we're back into the full swing of things, summer's coming to an end. So I expect this community to grow a lot more. Um, but yeah. Let me just check on some other news. How long have we been live for? Starting an hour ago, so we're doing pretty good. I think we got through everything we basically needed to get through. Again, every time I end a stream, there's always some news breaks right away. Um, Dwight York saying something about a United forward. I guess we could get into that. If you guys have any suggestions on anything you guys want to talk about, that we didn't cover or something that you're interested in, uh, type it up in the chat and we'll start talking about it. Lots of big new developments coming in now. Ugarte, here we go. Can fly. Sancho, Sterling, McTominay, Mejbri. Oh, Mejbri completed a 9 million move to Burnley after passing his medical. So Hannibal Mejbri has left the club on a permanent deal. I missed that, but I just seen this now. And there is an update on Victor Lindelof, which his injury likely keeps him at United as cover. So again, I think we covered that last time. He's not going to be sold because he's injured. And there's no plans to bring in a new left back before the transfer deadline day, which I still don't understand that. I don't understand that. But they better hope they get it right this time because I tell you what, in January last season, they got it wrong. They got it 100% wrong. We had Reguilon on loan. They thought Luke Shaw and Malacia were going to be ready and good to go. They suffered multiple setbacks, each of them, and we ended up basically without a left back for the rest of the season. And it was a disaster, and it hurt us. It definitely hurt us. So, whatever they got planned going on, they better get it right this season because if we end up with no backup right backs because one of our right backs has to play left back, and we end up with no left backs for a good period of time, I'm going to be rightfully pissed. And we're going to suffer for it. We're going to suffer for it 100%. So they need to make sure that this is the right decision because I would be loaning in a left back for sure. Um, Anything else? Rio Ferdinand just put out a tweet 2 minutes ago with an hourglass emoji. Oh boy, Rio. The last time you did that, Sir Jim Ratcliffe ended up buying the club when you said Qatar was coming. So just please stop, Rio. Please, please, please. Um, Dwight York speaking on Talk Sport via the Daily Mirror. has defended Rashford, talking about the mindset of the attacker, saying, you have to find out where the individual is at, what is going through his head, and what is his thought process in his everyday life, he continued. At the end of the day, we all have issues, we all have tough times in our lives. I'm sure that being left out of England set up last year, you expect him to come back with a little bit of fire in his belly and kick off after a poor season by his standards. Rashford is the only person who can get himself out of this slump. I agree with that statement. And then he continued, we know he has all the talent and all the ability, but if he is not prepared to put that effort in and really bring himself back from his poorest season last year, he is not going to get back to that level. He has to want to do it. I have defended Marcus many times, but he just seems unhappy for whatever reason. I don't know, but just does not seem to be enjoying his football like he used to. And I also agree with that, Dwight. Um, it has been reported, however, that Rashford is in fact taking on extra one-to-one training sessions with new coach and striking legend Ruud van Nistelrooy. With United taking on Liverpool this weekend, it's a massive game for the Red Devils. Da, 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 da. So, I think Dwight York talking on Marcus Rashford, I think that was pretty fair. And I agree with a lot of what he has to say. I agree with the sentiment that Marcus Rashford is the only person who can get himself out of his slump. And I also agree with the fact of where he said, and I'm glad he said it, because at times I kind of felt like I was the only one that kind of really seen it, but um, he just doesn't seem happy. He seems unhappy. And he's not enjoying his football like he used to. And I don't necessarily know. I don't think anybody necessarily knows. Maybe Marcus doesn't know, and that's the problem as to why that is. But I've noticed that. And it is certainly an issue, and that needs to be sorted. So, um, he needs that girl. Axe is convinced he needs the girl. Uh, I think the girl's a part to play with. I mean, listen, they known each other for a very very long time. And when that sort of thing happens, you know, things do get out of hand. Your mental state does go a little bit um crazy, right? And then especially if you take that and you add it in along with other life issues, then it is something that could be very, very troubling. But again, he needs to just figure it out because, um, yeah, uh, Stephanie and Richard that will miss him. Yeah, I think Ray's saying to Stephanie, tell Richard that we miss him. So yeah, definitely do that. Um, Steph's who is best equipped to play left back versus Salah on Sunday? Stick with Delo or switch to Mazzawari or maybe Blood Amos, who did okay against in preseason despite the result. I think I would stick with Delo on the left. Excellent question, by the way, Steph. I think that's very good. In my opinion, as of right now, I would play Delo. I don't know how Mazzawari would play on the left. I think Mazzawari is also just getting adjusted to the Prem um, and the squad as well. So, and he is technically a right back first. So I think it's better to play him there. I think Delo is very comfortable playing on the left. I think, we've seen Delo play there already. So, I think it's a safer and probably better option to play with Delo on the left. And I think Delo is more accustomed to playing against Salah as well. He knows what to expect. So I think Delo is probably the best bet. I think you keep it the same. Um, the squad, I would pretty much keep it almost the same. The problem that we have up top is actually very interesting because we need that. Part of me has this feeling like we need the striker. We need the striker to be starting games. We need Xerxes. Obviously, Hoyland is out injured, and hopefully, he should be back soon. Part of my brain is like when we have the starting lineup. Obviously, you have to have one of the strikers in ready to go. I would obviously put Garnacho in for Rashford and start Garnacho Diallo on the wings, Bruno. But then there's a part of me, there's a part of my brain, and maybe a part of my heart, from what I've seen from the last two matches when we were pressing. I think Bruno and Mount, and Bruno playing in the false nine, pressing, I think they complement each other very well, and they were doing very well with the pressing. The pressing dropped off for me and versus Brighton when we put on Xerxes and took off Mount. So I don't think we're gonna. I mean, I think we should press Liverpool because we're home. I think we should press them. I definitely do. I don't want to see us sitting back. I think we should be up high playing and pressing. For me, 100% Delo at left back and Mateus Delit Martinez and Mazawari, obviously Onana. And then I would have Casemiro Meno, um, Casemiro Menu, and then maybe even Mount. Um, because I might still go with the false nine. I'd see up top is where I'm getting a little confused because it depends what you do up there. If you're throwing on Xerxes, then obviously you can't play Mount. You got to put Bruno, and then you have Diallo and Garnacho. So I don't know if the false nine is correct to go into that match. I feel like it would be if we're gonna press. Definitely do it. If we're not gonna press, then I guess you throw in Xerxes and you have Mount off, and then you can make substitutions as you please into the game. William Lemmy, you're saying Sterling in and Sancho remain in at Manchester United. So William Lemmy wants I guess he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too because he wants Sancho and Sterling. He wants both. He wants an option that we didn't even put up. But you know what? You're allowed to have whatever opinion you want. Um, so William Lemmy probably coming with the most independent opinion so far on that Sterling Sancho thing. He wants both. He wants both. He actually wants to tell Chelsea, you screw off. Sancho staying with us, but we're taking Sterling from you. Um, I disagree, of course. I think Sancho needs to go. Sancho for me is done. He is done in Manchester United. There's no pathway forward for him. There's no coming back now. Definitely 100%. I think it's 110% done. He needs to go. He needs to be sold. He needs out of here. He needs to start new. Listen, just like McTominay, where I think it was time to go. Um, and there's a couple other players there. I would even argue maybe even a Maguire or a Lindelof, where it's time to start a new chapter. It's time to move on. It's good for the club. It's good for Manchester United, and it's good for the player themselves. I think the same thing is for Jadon Sancho. It hasn't worked out. It hasn't been great. It's been very underwhelming. It's been pretty toxic. For Sancho himself and the fans, the fans fighting amongst each other over the player at certain points. Um, so I just think it's time to move on with this whole situation in the past. You start new somewhere else. We move on without you, and we look towards the future with Ahmad Garnacho, and whoever else. Um, Steph saying Rashford needs goals and the girl to make him happier. Yeah, maybe. But I think he needs to just. I think that the goals is never really that important if you're enjoying playing and you're contributing to the performance, and maybe that is a problem. Maybe that is a problem because uh maybe he's being very hard on himself because he's not scoring, so he feels like he's not really contributing to the team, and it's hurting him more. But you don't always have to score to contribute or play well for the squad. Actually, there was a lot of times where Rashford did play in games where I don't think Rashford played very well per se in an overall performance, but he did score or assist, so it helped him out in that department. Um, We're at 12 likes. If we could smash the like button for all you other ones in there, because we got about 20 viewers in here. And thank you for being in here. I would greatly appreciate it. We could run those numbers up. We could definitely do better. So yeah, smash the like button for me. Um, Hold on, I missed some of the chat. Lyle saying Rashford needs to be benched and Garner and Xerxes in. Yeah, um, I think in a couple games we'll see that. I think in a couple matches. I still think Rashford's gonna start the next 3 matches probably. Um, but you could tell it's on the cards for sure because last season Erik ten Hag refused to sub Marcus Rashford off at any point of the match. He I don't think he subbed him off once. Um, I don't think he did it once. And so far, 2 matches into the new season, and the second match, and he subbed him off in the 65th minute. So I think it's on the cards there. I certainly think it's on the cards. Um, just from that substitution. Now, I don't know if he gave a statement as the reason why he did. I don't even know if he was asked. If he was, then I missed it. I apologize for that. But based off of that, I think it's on the cards there that it is coming. It is coming, and I think now it's fight. Was that flight or fight or whatever it is? Like I think now is the time. You're either gonna jump and make it, or you're gonna sink with the ship. Um, Axe saying we need the striker. Mount goes as a substitute for Bruno or Mano. Yeah, that's also another angle. This is what I'm saying. But it's good that we have this many options. The more options we have, the better it is for us. The more play we have. Definitely options is never having a lot of options is never a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. What would be a bad thing is having no options or a minimal amount of options because you're being restricted. The more options we have, the more freedom we have to play around with the squad, tactical adjustments, all sorts of stuff that we could do. So, um, yeah, I do think we need the striker. I don't know how well when you have the striker, um, how effective the pressing is going to be. And I want to see Manchester United press. I think we did a good job in for a good 45, 50 minutes pressing Brighton. I enjoy that because I think when we do it and we do it well, it's very good to watch. I think it's makes it much more entertaining. Um, but I seen the drop off as soon as Mount came off. The drop off in the press was substantial. Um, so I don't know. But let's see. Let's see. I mean, Xerxes is very capable of doing things as well. Even for a big guy, he's very mobile. So maybe it wasn't just because of him. I'm kind of alluding that it was like as soon as Xerxes came on and Mount came off, the pressing died. But maybe it was a couple other things. As well as the team did get tired. They did get tired right around that time anyway. A lot of them were very tired. So it could have just been that as well. Could have just been that as well. Steph is saying we need a focal point centrally. Xerxes is the answer as a 9 or 10. No, definitely Xerxes does add that. He is very good. He is very good. Do you remember when Rashford went partying with his new girlfriend at the time and his friends, and he kicked her out of his hotel room until sunrise? I remember there was some stories, something like that. Um, but yeah, Rashford could do with the goal against Liverpool. Usually does well against them. He could. He could. I think Marcus Rashford this just needs to he needs to find a little bit of confidence. From what I seen the last match, you could tell that confidence is lacking. I think he's definitely second guessing himself on the pitch. He might seem a little bit unsure of exactly how he should be playing, I guess, on the pitch. Um, I he just needs to have a little bit more conviction, a little bit more confidence in his play. I think when he gets the ball, I remember when he used to run at the defenders, but he was always confident. Like he knew exactly what he was gonna do. And that confidence came from having a plan in his head from when he was grabbing the ball. He'd grab the ball. He's like, I'm gonna run at the left back and whoever else comes, two or three players. I'm cutting inside. I'm taking a shot, and I'm gonna score. You could see it in the way his body language with the ball on the pitch. Now it's like he picks up the ball. He doesn't seem like he knows exactly what he's gonna do with it. He doesn't seem so confident that he's gonna be able to take on two or three players. He almost shows a body language of like he's very unsure that he basically might lose the ball. He's a little bit less reluctant to do so, so he was picking up the ball and just passing it 5-10 yards to the right of him and not doing much. So yeah, but for the benefit of everybody, he needs to come good, and we need to figure it out because if we have a Marcus Rashford on fire, it only helps the squad. Steph saying we're at 14 likes. We're pushing for 20. If we could hit 20, that would be great. We're at 15 likes. 5 likes away. If you haven't liked, smash the like button. We're pushing for 20. Let's get it done, people. We could do it. I know we can. Axel is saying, I wish I could help Rashford. Yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. It's like if you could just get him in a room or get him on the phone and just talk to him for like a good 30 minutes and just talk it out with him. You kind of feel like you could get through to him and just be like, listen, this is what I see. This is how I see it. Maybe he'll tell you some things that you're not privy to information that's going on behind the scenes with him. But yeah, I've been there before. I know what you mean. Like, I wish I could help Rashford. I feel like, I feel like if you could just get him on the phone and talk to him, and just be like, listen, Rashford, like, I'm just here telling you this because, like, listen, I'm not getting anything from you. You're not getting me tickets. You're not giving me money. I'm not pretending to be your friend. I'm literally just a fan of the club, and I just want to see you do good, and that's all it is. Because maybe part of that is like the people around him. It's hard to take their advice. Maybe they're giving him bad advice. Maybe they're not giving him advice, enough advice, or they're giving him the wrong advice, or maybe he doesn't know who to trust, or maybe he doesn't know who to listen to. It's very challenging. That's why they have that thing. They have that saying: "More money, more problems." He certainly probably will have more problems than we have as regular people. So it's hard. Ray's saying that's because Casemiro doesn't have legs, so and is killing Manu. Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I also you know our team. We're not you can see the slight improvements so far, and I hope it doesn't go backwards. But I didn't see this at the beginning of last season, and I'm seeing it this season so far in the first two matches. I think we're pressing better, and I think even the passing and the moving, the one touch passes, the confidence that the players have, that they know where the teammates are, the confidence to do the passing, the confidence to do the passing out of the back, I think has improved. We've still made a couple mistakes. We're not there yet. The team is still learning and is still growing in that aspect. We are not the finished article. We are in a progression right now. But I see it. I see the progression, especially when I keep thinking back to last year, where press was shit, playing at the back was shit. Players get the ball, they don't know what to do with it. They're walking sideways with it. They're holding on too long. They were they couldn't do a lot of one time passes in certain matches. Um, from what I've seen so far in these two first matches, there's an improvement in all those fronts. But we need to keep improving, and it's going to take some time. And the team, the players, we got to build up that fitness even higher. Obviously, that's something that we struggled with, because we haven't had it for about 10 years, so it hasn't really been in the culture. But the pressing, the fitness levels, everything has to be increased. I mean, it's just the start of the season, and more games are gonna come. But I think the players are still not 100% sharp enough. But hopefully, we continue grinding that way. Um, Steph saying I would challenge the team to score a minimum of 2 goals per game from now to the end of the season. Find them or reward them. Stick a carrot. Stick a carrot. Shouldn't need to, but get these players focused on scoring again. Um, Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it clicks for us soon. It is early days, right? And um I'd kind of rather work through it than have it hitting on all cylinders right now, because if it's hitting on all cylinders, you know the drop off is going to come probably at a more important period during the season. But I'm encouraged by the chances we've created so far in the first two matches, and I'm hoping um, that the goals are going to follow. It's just a matter of a couple games. Um, technically, we did score two against Brighton, but it got called off, so it was only the one. Even though really should have never gotten called off, it was just unfortunate and unlucky. Fulham, we struggled a little bit, but we did create a lot of chances. So I think there are goals there to be made. I mean, even against Fulham, Bruno could have had two or three. Garnacho should have had one. So the goals are there. The goals are there. We just have to be a little bit more clinical. So I feel like once the players get a little bit more sharper, a little bit more up to speed, if we keep creating the chances we've been creating, I think we're gonna see the goals come this season. I think third season's the charm. Third season's the charm, because the first season was hard, and the second season was definitely hard. So third season is the charm for the goals. Axel saying people on the stadium encourage Rashford some more. Yeah, I think they. I mean, I did see one or two instances, but I think mostly, I think all the people that go to the matches, listen, our fans, in recent years there have been some boos ringing out, but that's never really the case, and our fans are usually very, very supportive, even at times when a lot of people would argue that the players don't deserve it for the way they've performed. Our fans 99% of the time are very, very supportive behind our players. So I think, just like Dwight York said, Axe, I think it's just like Dwight York said, the people in the stadium, me and you, we can have discussions. We can call him up on the phone, and Erik Ten Hag can sit him down in the office and talk to him for 3 hours. But I think Dwight York hit it on the head. I think it's really just up to Marcus Rashford. It's up to Marcus Rashford. Nobody else is gonna get him out of this situation. Nobody else is gonna be able to fix this for him. It's only Marcus Rashford's gonna be able to do it. So he's gonna have to figure it out. Or suffer the consequences. Steph is saying when Ugarte plays, we need to still play as a trio midfield on a unit. Don't just rely on CDM role to cover the mistakes. Well, I don't think we have to worry about that with Mano in there. Because Mano plays his position and his role respect so with such grace, respectfully. He is just I absolutely love the kid. I love the kid. I think he plays it. I think he just the way he composes himself on the pitch, um, just absolutely beautiful. I just love the way he plays his game and the way he just shows himself on the pitch. So I think in terms of that, I don't think we have to worry too much. Um, and then it would probably be, but Mount is also a hard worker. So if Mount's playing in that spot as well, um, you know, but hey, maybe. I mean, I would assume if he's gonna play a false nine, he's gonna play a false nine, and Mount's gonna play. Um, but it would be even to the point of you could even nah, you wouldn't really get away with that, because then you're playing like two holding midfielders, and we don't really need that. So never mind. I was gonna say you could play Ugarte, Cass, and Mano, but no. Axe saying goals must be byproduct of the playing style, not a goal in itself. We return to basketball and defense mistakes if we just focus on goals. Exactly. That's why I think the playing style is pretty good. So far I see what Erik Ten Hag is trying to implement. There's been patches of it where it's been really good. There's been patches of it where it's been poor, like the ending of Brighton. So we just need to keep pushing. And hopefully, as long as the players we have stay fit, I think we'll be all right because you can continue down that path. If we start losing players like we did last season, it's going to be a problem. Um, because then we just won't have the personnel really. Um, Uche Sunday Mikel is saying of Man U. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Steph saying our mentality is still weak when we miss big chances and get decisions against us. Against us, heads go down. Hopefully, South American steel shines through, and that's actually another very good point, Steph. Um, another great point. That our mentality is that's another thing that is it's fragile right now. It's still fragile, and it still needs improvement. But I'm hoping people like Lisandro Martinez, even the lit with his experience, we got Bruno in there. Cash should be up there. Ugarte, South American, I think he's got that fight in him as well. Onana is very outspoken person. I don't that mentality should be pretty locked in. Um, they should not be dropping heads. I think Delo has a good mentality on him as well. Mazawari's pretty new, so I can't judge him 100%. Um, Xerxes is still sort of youngish, but he seems pretty confident. I just don't see, and Manu seems pretty quiet. Manu is the one that seems like um he needs a bit of push from the other guys that I just mentioned to keep him. He responds well to that kind of authority. You know what I mean? Obviously, he plays his game and he plays it well, but I think he just he's very he seems very quiet, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I don't think he's weak mentally. I think when I look at the players, we should have a quality group mentality. It should be strong, but I think from the things that have happened to the squad in the past, there's a bit of a PTSD kind of thing that goes on in the squad. Um, where it kind of creeps back in, where something happens and it kind of just goes all to the brain, like, oh, here we go again, like, or this is gonna happen again, like we've already been here, we've already seen it, and I think it kind of creeps into the back of their head, and they're kind of all of them start thinking like we're gonna concede here, or this is gonna happen, it's happened before, here it's coming, um, you know, so I don't know, but there are things that something needs to be sorted out in that regard, 100%, and hopefully if we get performances with results, that sorts it out. I think that's probably the best medicine, the best remedy is to just try and get as good as performances consistently and performances and results. Sorry, the word went right out of my head. Performances and results um as positive as possible, as consistently as possible is probably the best medicine for all of that. Um Steph saying Ugarte will snuff out danger and do the dirty work, allowing others to play, but our wastefulness needs to stop. Well, that's what I kind of touched on there before, Steph, is that um there was moments in the Brighton game where we did very very well, playing out of the back under pressure, one touch passing. Everybody took one touch. Some of the passes were very very risky. I got nervous because I've seen them fuck it up before. I've seen them completely mess it up. So there was moments where they made a pass or one or two passes. It was a close call, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, I thought they were gonna give it away and give up an easy goal or something. And they did very well to play out of there. And even at times when we had the ball on the midfield line, quick one touch passing, direct. They were on point, they were sharp, and we did well. We did well in those aspects. But then there was other aspects where we were wasteful. We gave up the ball. We were sloppy. We got out of position. Um, we gave away the ball far too easily, far too quickly, and far too cheaply. So we are improving, but there's a lot more improvement still to come. I think we have slightly improved in those aspects, but we have to continue building for sure. Lyle saying Brighton game we should have had 3 to 4 goals. Even the Fulham game, I would argue, we should have had 3 to 4 goals, and we could have. And this is the thing. Um, I think one of the seasons, and I would probably say last season, we struggled to create chances, which led to us not having goals. And I think in the first season, we created chances, but we weren't clinical enough. I think actually in both seasons we weren't clinical enough. I think in the last 2 matches of this season so far, I think we haven't been clinical enough. And that for me is the number one issue. We need to figure out how to become clinical. We have to become killers. We have to become killers. We have to become the team. If you give us a centimeter of an inch of a chance, we will kill you. We need to become killers. Somehow this team needs to transform into killers when opportunities in front of goal. Somehow, some way. I don't know how. I don't know how you get it done. Um that's not my job. My job is to support the team. I'm not a coach. I'm not there. I'm not with the players. But from what I see, they need to become killers. 100%. Lyle saying, as Michael Owens once said, if you score more than your opponent by the end of the game, you will win. Absolutely, and that's always been kind of my philosophy as well. The best defense is offense. And you can't win the game if you don't score goals. And the objective of the game is to win, and you win by having more goals than the other team. So for me, scoring goals and attacking has always been important to me. I rate it higher than everything else. Um, and definitely, I think we need to get that sorted out. The moment it was an offsides on Xerxes, I knew their mental went down fast, and we will lose. Well, that's sort of the thing for me. Like when it happened, I was like, "You gotta be." I said these exact words. I stood up, I looked at the TV, and I was screaming at the TV, going like this, saying, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." I was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." I can't believe that that's like, I was like, I couldn't believe it, but I was like, I believed it because I was like, this is what happens to us. I was like, we somehow have gotten like this bad juju, this bad luck shit. I was like, I don't think I would see any of the other teams in the Premier League, some shit like this happen to them, where the ball was literally in the net and it was offsides by a fucking hair. And I was like, how has this club become this? How has the club gotten this atmosphere of like bad luck and like weird bad calls and bad shit going against us? I don't know what it is that we have to do. Light some incense candles or something. I have no clue. But we need that part of the culture needs to be eradicated. It's like a cancer. It's like a tumor. It needs to be removed. It needs to be removed. And how you do that, I don't know, because I'm not an expert in that field. But it is something that is an issue and it needs to be sorted out if we're going to be successful. Steph saying these stoppage time defeats hurt us last season. Need to be 2 up minimum to prevent that happening. Well, that's why I'm agreeing with you there, Steph. That's why we need to be killers. We need to be killers. We need to be clinical. We need to kill off the game. We cannot leave opponents. We cannot be giving our opponents a chance to steal points off of us. And part of that is because we're not scoring enough goals. Um, I think we create enough chances. We're just not scoring enough goals. Also, the stoppage time defeats is a problem because in our history and our past, we were the kings of scoring the stoppage time winners, getting points off of teams in stoppage time. Obviously, Fergie time, as it's called, rightfully so. And now, as of recently, I mean, we do have 1 or 2 moments that happens, but it's far, far more rare. And actually, the more common reoccurring thing is that we are the ones that are conceding in stoppage time, losing points, and losing to teams we shouldn't be losing. So, again, the culture, the ethos of the club, that needs to be changed. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Clean sheet victories are very satisfying. Yes, they are. Steph, remind me of disallowed goal last season away at Arsenal. Garnacho again. That's what I'm saying. There's just these little instances that keep happening in matches where we either get unlucky or we do something stupid and we screw ourselves over, or these little things, they add up to points, a lot of points at the end of the season. So if we can figure out how to spin this around and get it back onto our side, we're going to be in a much better position. Axe thinks it's karma for the 99 UCL final. I mean, we definitely are being hit by some type of karma for some shit that we did. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was all the bragging and all the shit talking we did for so many years because when we were, just that good. Maybe we have to suffer a period of the opposite for all the shit that we talked, and this is the karma. But I think we're pretty close to the end of it, considering it's 11 years now. Um, I think that's I think it's time for the karma to spin back the other way. Because I've certainly had enough. It's been a very long 10 years. At times, it doesn't even feel like 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years, 11 years. I'm sorry. I can't even believe it's been 11 years. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Yeah, it's Axel saying just joking. It's a lack of self trust and self efficiency. Yeah, yeah, and self trust, but I think self trust, even team trust, even just doing your role. Where everybody in the club has the mentality, like each player on the pitch has sort of that captain mentality. I think there was moments in that Brighton game where you know we lost the ball very cheaply, somewhere around the midfield area, and I'm looking, and the whole midfield's already bypassed. Brighton's coming with the ball. We got 4 players back, and I'm looking at our fucking midfield, and our midfield's jogging back, just thinking, yeah, our defenders got it. They got it, or they're just hoping and praying, like, please make the stop. It's like, but that's not gonna cut it for you. You gotta fucking get back there, especially if you lose the ball, especially if you know you're beat, especially if you know the game's in the balance. You gotta, I want you gotta be running regardless if you can run or not. You better run and have no oxygen, that they gotta come on with the oxygen thing and give you oxygen on the pitch. Roy Keane would do it. Everybody that was in that squad with Roy Keane, they would do it. And if you didn't do it, Roy Keane would smash your head into a locker. Or he'd slide tackle you on the pitch. I mean, there was a couple moments there that's what I seen, and I was like, our midfield got completely screwed, and I was like, they're just looking at the rest of our teammates, hoping and praying that they come out with a fucking miracle, and that's not gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it in the Premier League. It's not. Um, Steph saying the Brighton defeat was avoidable. It appeared we were hoping for a draw instead of trying to win the game. Well, that's what I'm saying. They kind of just looked like they ran out of gas. And especially as you guys mentioned, when they disallowed when they disallowed the Garnacho goal, um, it just looked like a lot of the energy got sucked out of them. Like they kind of shifted this mentality of like, oh fuck, here we go again. Like it was almost like this victim mentality, like, oh, it's always us. Like, why us? Like we did all of that and we didn't get rewarded, so now we just give up. Um, I don't, I you know, Axe saying exactly low club mentality. Do you remember how much Rooney was fighting to win? I mean, Wayne Rooney. I'd see Wayne Rooney miss a chance in the opponent's box, sprinting back fucking 80 yards to slide tackle a player on the edge of our box, get up and rerun and go forward again. So and Rooney wasn't the most fittest person. When you put him next to Cristiano, I guess. Even in his playing days. But still, he wanted to win. He just wanted to win, and he knew that if he didn't do that, there is a less percentage chance that they're going to win the match. So even if him by doing that adds a 1%, increase to Manchester United winning, he would do it. So um Lyle saying Fenerbahce and Fiorentina are in negotiations for Amrabat. What signing that would be for Mourinho though? Yeah, that would be good. Interesting that he's gonna go to Fenerbahce. Um, I guess he's done with Fiorentina. Um, Fiorentina probably most likely doing. Is it? Does any? Do you know, Lyle, if it's a permanent move? It's not going to be a loan, right? Because I think that's one of the problems. Like United would probably take him back on loan, but we don't want. We don't want to do a permanent deal, or we can't afford to do the permanent deal. From the last time I seen, and if Fiorentina are not looking to actually loan him, I'm pretty sure from the last update I've ever seen that they want a permanent deal done for him. So that would be unfortunate because I would definitely take Amrabat at least for a loan. If we can't sign him permanently, I would take him back on a loan for sure. Um, you know, um, Steph saying VAR stands for very average resolve. um, Lyle saying even towards the end of Rooney's United career, my man was up and down the pitch. Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's just him being a fighter and a with a winner's mentality. Which is why it's important when you get these profile of players. Now, um, I think we should see a little bit more of it. I mean, I think Varane had it, and it was, a big loss that he left. But I think for me, Licha has it. I think Delit's gotta have it. Just being, what he's been through in his career already, captain and all that, playing for Ajax, Juventus, and Bayern Munich. Um, I think Garnacho has that little bit of he's got that little bit of fight in him, but he's a bit young, so it's a little bit tougher on him. Um, Diallo as well. I think he's a little bit more on the quiet side. Rashford is probably more on the quiet side as well. He's not, Marcus Rashford. I think regardless of the PR or whatever, he seems pretty quiet as well. So those guys, I think they need a little bit of a push. I know Bruno's very vocal, and Bruno's a fighter, and Bruno gives everything he's got. He'll play goalkeeper if he has to. Um, so we do have some players there. Um, we need them to stay fit, and we need them to stay together so that they can galvanize the rest. I think the problem is also, we also took off Bruno. I think that's also a problem. Like we've seen this team without Lisandro Martinez, and we've seen this team with Lisandro Martinez in it, and the difference in mentality and attitude just by him being in or out of it, is very astounding. So, the more mentality warriors we have, like Licha, I think, like Delit, like Bruno, probably Ugarte. I from what I've seen from him, from a couple clips, he seems that way as well. Um, I think having those players all together on the pitch for as long as possible, I think will up the mentality. Steph, our moderator, is leaving. Great to see you. She's out of here. Steph, thank you for everything. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time. I'm gonna end it anyway. We're 4 likes away from 20. We're trying to get 20 likes. Smash the like button if you haven't smashed it already. I'm gonna read the rest of these, check the news, and then end this. Lyle saying looks like a loan with an obligation to buy, which is the problem. 2 million loan, 12 million mandatory buy close offered. Fiorentina want more, and I'm guessing Dan Ashworth and whoever else, they just didn't rate Amrabat, I guess, as well, because they could probably do that deal as well. We could just loan him with an obligation to buy again. But they don't want to. And it says, according to Fab, talks continue as Amrabat also received an approach from Everton today. Interesting. Axe saying we need more than an extroverted, dedicated, and motivated players. We need a leader. We need somebody able to motivate and galvanize people in the right way. I think we have a couple leaders. The problem is we need them to be available. We need them to stay fit. Um, and we need the rest of the players, like the ones that we got in. They need to have a good profile of character as well that would respond to leadership, because not everybody responds to leadership, because when you have leadership is authority, and some people don't respond well to authority. I've seen it plenty. So Amrabat again for deadline day. I'm gonna call it now. That would actually be quite hilarious. Um, Again on deadline day, if we just pulled in Amrabat again, same signing, different year. Who this? Who that? Let me see before we get out of here. And it's been a lovely show. So thank you everybody that's tuned in. Thank you to everybody that's got involved in the live chat. Thank you to everybody that's smashed the like button for me. Very, very important. So if you haven't, smash that like button. If you subscribed, thank you. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe and join the community and turn on the notifications. I'm going to check to see just in case we have any last minute updates. Breaking news from DiMarzio, actually. So here we go. Before we get off, Lazio are considering the signing of Victor Lindelof. This is from DiMarzio. Considering it is Lazio, I would say that this is absolutely tier one. DiMarzio, with the Italian sources, is very, 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 very credible in that aspect. So very interesting. It's about to get very crazy, because this is the final week of the transfer window. So shit is about to get real. So let's see what happens. We just talked about it and mentioned it that it didn't look like Lindelof was going to go anywhere due to his injury. Lazio might be just desperate enough that they want to get him in. Will Manchester United be open to selling him? Because we probably won't get in somebody to replace him in time if we do sell him, and they might value the squad depth over selling him at this point. And I do see this update from Fabrizio about Amrabat and Fenerbahce. So that's kind of Lazio saying the idea for Lazio's defense is Victor Lindelof. So Victor Lindelof, greatly wanted by Lazio now apparently. So I'm sure we're gonna get more following up tomorrow. And that's the latest updates up to date. We are up to date. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. It was a fantastic show. Good updates. Ugarte is in. We're flying away. Scott McTominay is out. Sancho on his way out. Raheem Sterling could possibly be coming in a swap deal going the other way, or he'll end up at Juventus. We have to keep out on Victor Lindelof now, following updates. And Ugarte medical tonight or tomorrow, with the official confirmation or official thoughts going to be tomorrow night, most likely. We will get into all of that later on. I'm going to end it here. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Greatly appreciated. And we will catch you on the next one, most likely. If not tomorrow, then Thursday for sure. Enjoy, guys. Catch you later. Be good.